Welcome to the final episode of the ABL podcast for season 22. So I decided between the weeks off and just get everything for the finals to line up, figured I would just do, and also it stops me from doing a podcast for just two games last week. Everything has been truncated into this episode, so we got 4 playoff games to talk about here, and we're going to lead off with the championship for the ABL South contested between first season in the league, Joel, with the Green Bay Pachirisu, versus the person who just earned his promotion back into the North, Mike, with the Washington War Turtles. This is second season in the South, I believe, because he was Washington Commanders, and then Southside Squirtles, and then he evolved into the Washington War Turtles. So, I don't know what's going to happen after he comes back to the North. If he's going to go back to the Washington Commanders, or he's going to have some sort of Blastoise themed thing. But also, he's not allowed to change his team name for the rest of the generation. That's what we established already. Also, I guess speaking of that, not going to be starting a new season until 2025, taking off the rest of the year for a number of reasons. One, we've played 3 full seasons of the ABL this year, which is just about as much as we've ever done. And I think everyone could probably use some time to cool off from it. I also think this is the 3rd season in a row that we've had the exact same draft pool, and that doesn't look to be changing. So, going to take a little bit of time off, let everyone cool down, give some time to breathe, plus trying to fight through scheduling conflicts around the holidays can be difficult, so it's better just to get a clean start at the top of the year. I know that people want to do something in the off season, but if you want to do something in the off season, that's fine. Just someone's got to run it, obviously. So good luck with whoever wants to tackle that. Okay, that's all out of the way. Let's talk about the ABL South Championship. Let's hop. So we got this Sun team. We haven't seen like a really great Sun team, I think, since I think Darren had a really good one. I want to say that was like season 17. He had a pretty Sun heavy team. This one even more so, and I think he's even got more tools at his disposal with the. What the heck is this music? I did a different playlist. It's a little weird, but anyways, moving on. I think that he's got more tools at his disposal with like the Paradox Pokemon. Photosynthesis obviously helps that out. I don't think Darren had that at his disposal. Then we got Mike's team, which is pretty balanced, has been so all season. He's obviously bringing a Chili Reception user to combat Joel's Sun team, but Joel has become pretty accustomed to dealing with that. So we're going to kind of see, we're going to outline that here. So we get the lead Zapdos versus the Golden Go. This made me think, Golden Go's Scarf, because it outsped the Zapdos, but this is just 0 speed Zapdos and a fast Golden Go. So that kind of sets the tone right there. This is a very defensive Zapdos. He goes for the Tailwind. Okay, so you know what? Time for one of the classic Jeremy rants about a move he doesn't like. I don't like Tailwind in singles. I think it's a bad move. I don't think it provides enough team support. I think there's only one Pokemon that should run Tailwind, and that is Shiftry. Beyond that, I don't see a benefit to it. And the reason is this. You click Tailwind on turn 1, and then the turn ends. Now that means you only have 3 turns of being faster with Zapdos here. Now, I don't think that's worth a whole move slot. Because the Lycanroc comes in on the Heat Wave right there, and he gets a hard switch out into Cobalion. Now there's only 1 turn left. Like, only one other Pokemon got to benefit from that. But, big benefit, because were this any other situation, the Lycanroc Dusk would have outsped, and I don't know if it would have KO'd with Close Combat. I don't know the investment, and I know Cobalion's got pretty good defenses. But Close Combat from Lycanroc Dusk does a lot of damage. Probably worth the trade-off here. But Joel gets, I think, caught off guard by the fact that the Tailwind's still up, and he's going to lose his Lycanroc, and that's a big loss early on. Torkoal's going to come out and set up the Sun as the Galarian Slowking comes in. This is a really nice double switch here to get this Great Tuscan right away. It would have dealt with the Cobalion very quickly, and then it also covers this switch into Galarian Slowking, which I think Mike has shown. I don't remember if these two have fought 2 or 3 times this season, but obviously Joel has gone against Slowking 3 times, regular Slowking 3 times when facing Logan this season. So he's no stranger to this Pokemon. So Great Tusk also covers Galarian Slowking coming in, trying to Chilly Reception to cover up his Sun. He does just go and attack what's in front of him, and the Zapdos comes in. Kind of unfortunate that he doesn't have a good way of dealing with that. Heat Wave's going to come out, not do a lot of damage to the Walking Wake, and Mike has a great counter in Primarina, but Joel recognizes that Primarina is the ideal switch-in, and he just goes ahead and flip turns and gets out Leafeon. Now, I want to break this down, because this is something I thought in the moment. I'm actually going to open up another window on the side here, don't mind me. So I want to remember what Terra types Leafeon had access to at the time. Leafeon had access to Rock, Water, and Steel. So unfortunately, none of those types is going to help it get past Cobalion. But looking at what it does have access to, just in terms of Leaf Blade, we actually see as Solar Blade. But like Leaf Blade knockoff, and if he had like Terra Rock or something, or even Double Edge would have done a lot of damage. He could really put in the work against this team if he went that route. So we see the Zapdos come in on the Terra Water, and the Solar Blade goes off. I don't think it was necessary for him to Terra right there. I think that's one of those things you kind of want to hold on to. I don't think being Grass type really hurts him too much. I guess it would, like, he'd take less damage from a potential Heat Wave. I guess that's why that did that. Or no, but the Primarina was in, so you don't really have to see, like, so just going hard for Solar Blade there was fine. I think on this turn, then you could reveal, like, kind of bait a Heat Wave, and you could Terra Water and get off an extra hit. Because if he had knockoff, I think it would have killed at that point. So that's an early Terra that I do think cost him a kill on Zapdos. Because then he's got a hard switch into the Golden Go. Gonna get off a lot of damage against this Galarian Slowking, but he is gonna lose his Golden Go to a Sun-boosted Flamethrower in the process. Torkoal's gonna come out here. This is awesome. I'm gonna take it back just a little bit, talk about this. So we see him lose the Golden Go, and unfortunately there's gonna be 1 turn of Sun left. So he goes hard out into Torkoal, and this, I think, like, Joel is in a bad position here, but he's still making really good plays because he's EV'd his Torkoal to make sure he's going to be slower than the Galarian Slowking, which he can do. He just got to run down speed nature, 0 speed EVs, no reason to have a fast Torkoal. This thing's hitting a hard 40 speed, and Galarian Slowking can't be slower than that. And Chilly Reception is not like Teleport was last generation. It is not a decreased priority move. So just if it's slower, if he's faster, he goes first. And also, this is a great play because we see the Chilly Reception come out. So he does overwrite the final turn of Sun. And he goes out into Primarina, which is obviously not an ideal matchup for Joel here. But Joel went hard for Sunny Day, which is such an awesome play because if he had been faster, then the Sunny Day would have failed and not extended the Sun. It was an awesome play, awesome prediction. Obviously, it doesn't end up amounting to much, but I really do think it's so awesome. I really wanted to call that out. We do get the Leafeon to come in after that, but the substitute goes up. Now, this is a problem. This is a problem for Joel right here. I don't think after seeing the substitute, the Swords Dance is the right call. I think you just want to make sure when this Leafeon dies, there's no substitute there. So that way you can try to do something to it. Swords Dancing in front of it is not the play. Because you see this Moonblast does so much damage. And he's going to baton pass hard into the Great Tusk, which is also a weird call because you have a Moonblast coming in. Now, granted, he lost his Moonblast switch in very early on. Primarina has such an awesome matchup here. But this sub is going to basically be able to stay up for the entirety of the match because Leafeon's going to come in. Ain't to that. We're going to see Walking Weight come out. And I do think he ends up breaking the sub with his Flamethrower after the flip turn. But a Calm Mind even goes up. This one's over. And Mike's going to walk away with a 6-0 win to win the ABL South Championship. I don't think, to my recollection, I don't think we've ever had a 6-0 in a championship match. So that's a first. Well done, Mike. Still a really good season, Joel. I'm really excited to see what he does next season in the North. Both of these guys going to the North. Wish him best of luck. Mike's going to have the first option or first chance to select where he wants to draft from. I'm going to give him the advice I give everybody. Don't just pick the earliest available draft pick unless you really think that the back wheel is beneficial. That's it. Especially when you're picking early. Like once, because I don't know who's going to be getting extra options. Like Kyle, by the time it gets around to Kyle, I think the first and the last might be gone. Go ahead and go second. Don't go third and let somebody else get second. That doesn't make sense. And some people are probably listening to this being like, oh, another classic Jeremy rant. Man, he does a lot of these. But I have to deal with this every season where I'm just like, hey, you had the first option. You can select the first pick in the draft. Or if you want to go last and get 2 picks in a row, that's understandable too. Not advisable in my opinion, but you could do it. And then someone inevitably goes like, oh, I want to pick 4th. I want 3 better Pokemon to go before me and then gain no real benefit. Awesome choice. Okay, but that wraps up our coverage of the South. You know what? I guess since I have it up here, let's go take a look. I believe everything stat-wise is up to date. So let's go ahead and take a look at the MVP of the South. So we've got Primarina with 12 kills on the season. Let's see if this is up to date. I don't know if this is up to date. Stats. Week 9. Yeah, that's up to date. Okay. So, I guess, honestly, looking at this, kind of a subdued year in terms of, like, kill distribution. I know that we've had a shorter season, but only one Pokemon cracking double-digit kills. I'm just kind of spreading the wealth there. Pretty interesting. Torkoal came to 9 games and died 9 times. That was going to happen. That's just how Torkoal functions on Sun teams. It's not usually going to survive till the end. So that's fine. Alamalola having a really good, coming to 7 games, taking 48 hits, almost 7 hits a game. That's just what Alamalola does, just absorbs hits. Expect Alamalola to be fetching a higher price in free agency going into next season. That's how attacks dealt, Jesus. So attacking 7 times and taking 56. That's 8 hits per game on average. And Zapdos right behind it, just having a lot of time on the field. Alamalola with a fantastic defensive appearance this year. But I think that's going to wrap up. Let's take a final look at the standings. This is obviously reflecting the regular season standings. So coming into next season, we'll be looking at Keenan will have the number 1 choice, followed by Mitch, and then Logan, Papcoon, and then the incoming North teams, who I have forgotten who they are. Let's pull up the North over here on the side. I legitimately can't remember who it is. I want to say it's Jabron and Darren for some reason. Standings. Oh, it's Kyle and Darren. Jabron did, again, by the skin of his teeth, sneak through there. But I guess now we can move on to the North. So moving on to our second semifinal match for the North, we've got Drew taking on Brett. I don't believe these two faced last season. Did I skip? I said second, and this is the first, right? Yeah. Okay, well, I guess I'll do this one because I already introduced it. We've got Drew taking on Brett. I got up to let the dog out, and I forgot where I left off, so sorry about that. And I'm not going to fix it in post. So, I mean, I don't see anything that I really want to point out at team preview. I think that I think Brett learned his lesson from his loss to Dakota earlier in the season, where if there's a fairy type, I'm not fucking around. Tinkaton's showing up. Plus, Tinkaton is a good check to Meowscarada. And I think we've all seen, here's Alamalola again. We talked about that for the South. And we've also, I think people have caught on that Hisuian Electrode's actually pretty good. But yeah, let's hop into the game here. So we've got Magcargo lead versus Electro, hard switch into Magmortar on the Volt Switch. That all makes sense because if Brett gets the Volt Switch, like if Drew goes into Donphan to block the Volt Switch, then he can just follow it up with an Energy Ball, do a shit ton of damage. And I don't think off the top, I'd be surprised if even, unless it's banded, I'd be surprised if Donphan could KO Hisuian Electrode with an Ice Spinner. But we'll leave it at that. So we got Landorus that comes in on the Magmortar to try to force it out with the Earthquake, and he just U-turns on the Donphan, keeping up momentum now with that Electrode matchup we talked about, and that Energy Ball is going to do a lot of good damage to Magcargo, plus get the Spidef drop, which frees him up to go for a different move. And we see the Electrode follow up with a Discharge. Because of the Spidef drop, it would have been able to get anything, and it would have been able to hit. This is able to hit everything. Plus, it's got that paralysis chance, which is even better. And he gets it right there, and that's huge. And then we're gonna see a U-turn on the Tinkaton. Just gonna force it out, and then we see Electrode. Now, I'm gonna stop right here. Brett does not have hazard clearing on his team, so he is going to have to deal with. He's gonna have to play the rest of the game with these hazards up. It's going to chip away. It's going to be faster chipping away at Tinkaton and Landorus. I don't think we've seen if it's got boots yet, but I do think that's significant. Oh, no, I didn't reframe it. I'm sorry, guys. There we go. So, yeah, I do think that's significant. Energy Ball to Comfey does a decent amount of damage, but Brett's probably going to be dissuaded from switching in some instances. Tinkaton's going to come in, just try to force that Comfey out, and it's going to have its leftovers knocked off. So, big weight off Brett's mind that this is not a setup Comfey. We have seen Comfey in, honestly, most seasons it's played in, have absolutely dominate and get 5 or 6 KOs in 1 week. Haven't seen that from Drew this season, and this is obviously not a set that can allow him to do that. I think it's mostly here to kind of be a soft check to Latios. Soft check. It's a counter. I think it's probably unless it's way calm-minded up Latios. But yeah, it's there to deal with Latios. I'm going to see the knockoff with the Light Clay. So its last move was probably Light Screen. Because fun fact, Light Screen will block Psyshock. Because it will reduce damage from Psyshock because it's still a special move. Light Screen decreases the effectiveness of opponents' special moves. Psyshock and Secret Sword, even though they hit on the physical side, are special moves, so it decreases those damages. Fun thing if you didn't know that. And then we're going to see the Gigaton Hammer, obviously, KO the Comfey. Donphan's going to come in. Just go hard for the Earthquake there. Does a, honestly, pretty good amount of damage to Alamalola. And we see the Clear Amulet stop the Intimidate. I think that's pretty interesting. I'm guessing that there was some significant calc that Drew was worried about, wanted to make sure he'd be able to do good damage. Yeah, because see, that means Ice Shard is a guaranteed 2 KO on Landorus if he's not intimidated. But he is going to drop to a Grass Knot. Great bring by Brett. He's kind of in the driver's seat here, but I will point out that Meowscarada still has a really good matchup here, and Tinkaton's starting to get worn down. You can see right here, Tinkaton's going to come in, takes 6% from the rocks, and then another 28% from there. So it can only switch in on Meowscarada one more time before it's no longer a switch into Meowscarada. So that's something to remember, because it's also not going to be getting leftovers recovery. So going to U-turn out, chip it down even more. Thunderwave's going to come out on this Magmortar. Now that's pretty big to slow that down. Going to see the Assault Vest knocked off of Alamalola. And something also that I like that Drew is doing here. because he sees that this is a real Volt tourney team from Brett here. He's kind of staying in on some turns where he should be switching out. Like he took that damage on Magmortar, which, to be fair, I think he's got to do it because he's playing in the back, and this Magmortar has lost a lot of value being paralyzed. So he's just like, I'm going to take these hits, and I'm going to get free hits off on him in return. I have the rocks up. That's going to punish him a little bit more than it would otherwise. And plus, he's got to play risky because he's playing from behind right now. He does, unfortunately for him, that doesn't pay off because he does get fully paralyzed right there. And the Magmortar is going to go down to the Earthquake. And we're getting it Meowscarada following up here. Obviously going for the triple axle there. Tinkaton is able to live that just barely after all 3 hits come through. But U-Turn's going to be able to pick it off. This is probably like a... I don't know what this Meowscarada is. Maybe Heavy Duty Boots, who's to say. But Drew is in a really nice... Like, he got one of the biggest hurdles to Meowscarada out of the way. Alamalola is going to come in. Mikargo's going to turn water type. Smart play there. Unfortunately for him, does get burned, but he's also going to burn the Alamalola back. Just kind of offset some of the healing that it can do at this point. Unfortunately, that does open him up to Electrode being a much bigger problem. Electrode's going to be able to try... I figured he's going to... I forgot it that he did that. I figured he's going to kind of fire off discharges with Reckless Abandon at that point because it would have killed the Mikargo. And like we talked about earlier, it's got a paralysis chance, so why wouldn't she go for it, right? Alamalola is going to come in the Iron Crown. It's going to be hard for Iron Crown to break through this Alamalola. And we're going to see him go for the Scald here, just try to do a little bit more damage to that Iron Crown. Flamethrower does a little bit of damage to Alamalola. He's actually going to be able to do a lot more back with Mirror Coat. I'm going to see a flip turn, just keep regenerating back up, right? Assuming Electrode, pretty interesting. He's only lost HP from coming in on rocks. I think that's pretty funny. And then, pulls out the Terra Fairy at the last minute to take out the Meowscarada, basically securing him the win here. There's not a lot that Drew can do to come back from this deficit at this point. I think Drew played pretty well. I think there's probably a couple of... I feel like this wasn't like a lot of plays that he got wrong. This was a team building thing. He just wasn't able to... he just didn't have the right matchup here. Hisuian Electrode, obviously, really crucial in this match, too, which I don't know if a lot of people would predict it to be so. So I just want to say well done to Brett. That gives him a spot in the finals for the millionth time, I believe. Congratulations on 1 million finals appearances. And we can move on to our last semifinal match. And here we have that match. We've got Zach versus Ishii. So, Ishii's second season overall, first one in the North, and he's made it to the semifinals through some, I'm going to say, unconventional sets that, I've been vocal against. And I know that that's maybe a rude thing to just be openly against somebody's sets, but I don't like them. And you know what? I have some criticisms of this, so let's just hop into the game. So we've got Serena leading off against the Ogerpon Cornerstone. Immediately shows off that it's Scarf. Either that or this is somehow like a negative speed Ogerpon. But that's unlikely. It's more likely just a Scarf Serena. And that damage is really big because if you look at Ogerpon's matchup versus this team, it's actually really solid. So that damage, just to start off with, is really good. We're going to get a U-turn here, a little bit of chip damage to Golden Goat, and we're going to get out Chandelure. Zach immediately scouts his check and see if this is Scarf. It goes into a very safe switch in Cyclizar here. And we're going to get a knockoff and knock off the Rocky Helmet on the Corviknight. That's big. It's going to allow him to U-turn more freely. Regenerator is going to get him back up to full. Then we're going to see this Shell Smash Blastoise. And interestingly, actually we learned 2 things right away here that are interesting, at least to me. This is not White Herb, which I don't totally have a problem with. But I do see Shell Smash Flip Turn and think, wow, that's really weird. It would have been even weirder if he was White Herb. But Shell Smash with Flip Turn is weird because that also means if he had Ice Beam, he would have used it here because he would have been faster. So we can surmise that he doesn't have Ice Beam. Now we're going to bring in the Tauros, and it's Intimidate, not Sheer Force. So that's another interesting thing. Sheer Force is, I would say, almost always the better ability. So yeah. And then we're going to see Petal Blizzard do a bunch of damage there. That's good. Going to see the Ting Lu come in and be able to get up rocks. So, and that's in front of a potential Defogger, but we actually don't see him go for the Defog there. We're going to see Blastoise come in and predicts that he's not going to be able to spin there. It's just going to go for the Surf, gets off good damage on the Golden Go that we do see is leftovers, and surprisingly, Zach goes for the Make It Rain here. I'm guessing that was an attempt to catch the Tauros. That would make sense to come in on the Shadow Ball, but kind of gets a little out-predicted there by Ishii as he flip turns out for a little bit more damage. And now we got the King Gambit coming in. Now King Gambit, now we haven't had any Pokemon faint so far at 13 turns in this battle, so the King Gambit's not powered up at all. It's going to have a hard time making past some of these Pokemon. But we do see Ironhead do decent damage to Ting Lu there. But he's got a long way to go before he's going to be able to break through that Ting Lu with King Gambit. Body Press is going to come out here, and he is going to get the burn. Bad luck there. That's the risk here. That's what Moltres does. That's what Moltres and Zapdos do. I do dislike Moltres less because burn is less debilitating than paralysis. But I've done that rant enough. And you've already got 2, so maybe I'll save a rant for later. Am I recording properly on here? Do I have this lined up? Oh, sorry, let me pause that. Great prediction on the Scorching Sands. Good, okay, we're framed up right. Great predictions on the Scorching Sands there. He's going to go back into his nice safe switch of Cyclizar and just hard go for the knockoff. Knocking off a Focus Sash. I'll actually come back to that Focus Sash in a little bit. Tauros is going to come out here, get off the Intimidate. We're just going to see, I believe, just a... Oh, not even a... I guess he hasn't switched moves yet, so he could, in theory, be Choice Scarf. I don't think we see it from him here. And then he goes for Raging Bull, which is a normal type move when used by regular Tauros. I didn't even know it got it, for one, because usually no reason to run it. So Raging Bull on Tauros is a 90 base power normal type move. You don't typically see Raging Bull on Tauros because it's not Sheer Force boosted, but this isn't Sheer Force Tauros. I would just like to know the thought process behind running Intimidate Tauros, because I think it is markedly worse. I guess just looking at what's here, I don't think there's anything. The Electivire is really the only physical attacking threat on the team next to maybe Serena, and you don't have anything to hit Serena very hard. I just don't get the Intimidate personally. See the Terra Normal come out, doesn't do enough to this Ting Lu. And he's just going to keep going for it because, can't really afford to switch around too much at this point. Now we're going to get the Ogerpon come in, and he's just going to go for the Ivy Cudgel. Does really good damage. If he had gotten a crit there, this is such a different game. He's down a little bit, but that, if Serena is out of the way, Ogerpon Cornerstone can basically attack whoever's in front of him. The Cyclizar is going to come in a U-turn, but, pathway is paved quite a bit for Ogerpon Cornerstone. Also, good prediction to try to catch the Serena instead of going for Power Whip or Horn Leech or whatever he's got. Just manages to catch Serena. That's big. Corviknight's going to come in here on the U-turn. Doesn't take much damage, but it is not really going to have much more use in this battle as it's going to go down to the Moltres there. Now we're going to get Blastoise coming, going for the Rapid Spin. So now you can see the full moveset there of Shell Smash, Flip Turn, Surf, and Rapid Spin. So this is a defensive Blastoise set, and then just randomly has Shell Smash thrown in. Thank goodness for Ishii's sake that Melodic didn't come to this game, because then this Blastoise is just absolute fodder for Melodic. I just don't get Shell Smash on a set that only has Surf against Like, you need to get too many pieces out of the way, I think, for that to be viable. It's like utility plus very narrow range setup. I'm not a fan of this set. But gets the Rapid Spin off, and he is in Torrent range here, so I think that's interesting. He can go for a Surf, do pretty good damage to an Amorous. Ogerpon's going to come out, go for the Horn Leech, just get a little bit of HP back. And Serena's going to come in, obviously go for the U-turn here. That's the safest play. But now King Gambit's a little bit stronger, but isn't going to be able to live that Flamethrower from Moltres. And we're down to last mana, Ogerpon Cornerstone. And at this point, he goes for the Swords Dance, just hoping that Zach makes a mistake. And Zach makes the right play. I think the Swords Dance was the right play. Like I said, don't love the Blastoise set. A little bit perplexed by the Tauros set. I don't want to throw out the set altogether, because I think it was probably like Scarf Earthquake. I'm guessing it might have had close combat. Like, that kind of makes sense to me, but I don't think it's better than just like your standard Life Orb Sheer Force Tauros. But after a whole season where we're like, wow, Zach and Brett are, I think they both started out like 0-2. Zach, if he had lost his final game of the season to Brett, would have been relegated. There was a point in time where Brett was worried about being relegated. Both of them made it to the end of the regular season. Brett had a losing record. Zach was just over 500, and like I said, had a chance to be relegated if he didn't win that final game of the season. And now we're here, and both of them are in their 1 millionth playoff game against, or championship game against each other, no less. This is their 1 millionth against each other. That's actually not true. I think I did go back though at the end of the generation, and like they faced off in the playoffs like 8 times or something, and that was at the end of last generation. Which, of course, leads us to our championship game. Okay, so we just went through 2 games with these teams. Brett bringing 4 of the same Pokemon that he brought to last week, although Kleavor didn't hit the field. We've got Hisuian, Typhlosion, and Hitmontop accompanying the kind of core 4 that we saw last week. On Zach's side of the field, we got a whole different team. Not a whole different team, but we see the Orthworm, we see the Electivire. I guess he's still got kind of that same core going on. Now, a couple things I want to note here, just because I do have perspective from Brett, because I talked to him before the game. He was very scared of Electivire because he had no ground moves on his whole team. I personally, looking at this, don't think that's too big of an issue, just because Electivire doesn't have good defense. You can wear it down. But what it does mean is Electivire is going to be able to, Volt Switch and just click whatever electric move he wants to with impunity, because he's going to be doing at least some damage. Now, I have not rewatched this game since I watched it live, so I may be misremembering parts of it, so bear with me, but we're going to hop in. We'll go on normal speed, take it kind of slow. So we got the Kleavor lead versus the Electivire. Electivire is going to hard switch out into Golden Go. Stone Axe is going to come off. We're going to get up Stealth Rocks right away. That's big. Going to be harder for Zach to clear them because, he's got to have Cyclizar do it. Cyclizar doesn't have a great matchup against a lot of these Pokemon, and Hisuian Typhlosion can block it if need be. So rocks are up pretty early. I think that's kind of big. I'm going to see a Thunderbolt come out on the Alamalola. That is, now we calced this because I was curious, because I'm like, man, that is either like no special attack investment Goldengo, or that is AV Alamalola, which we actually saw last week from Brett. So if Zach's done his job, that's kind of, he's probably watched that game, that's kind of in his mind a little bit, that, okay, maybe I'm looking on AV. And he actually nasty plots up here with Goldengo, takes the flip turn. Now Brett has to really quickly just try to threaten this Goldengo away, and man does he with Typhlosion coming in here. That's going to force the Goldengo out into Cyclizar. Cyclizar's going to take a little bit of damage, so we know it's not heavy duty boots. Eruption's going to do 30% damage. So I looked this up too while I'm calcing, and I'm like, okay, definitely not Specs damage there. So that's probably Scarf Eruption. He's going to have to switch out here, which maybe Zach's going to be kind of aggressive and go for a Rapid Spin right now. Or he could just go for a knockoff and try to kind of take an item from something, or maybe because that's also good because it's obviously the next eruption's not going to kill him. That's enough that he can just regenerate it back. Might be worth it to go for a knockoff here. And he does in fact go for a knockoff, but this isn't Scarf Typhlosion, which really caught me off guard. He's just heavy duty boots, and he actually hits the Focus Blast. Absolutely huge. Those hazards are there to stay on Zach's side of the field. Really big. Brett said after the match that he was actually Terra fighting on Typhlosion, just so that way he could have potentially Terra'd there, taken even less damage. He would have taken like a quarter of that. So he would have taken like, what is that, 12% damage? Eruption still would have been quite powerful versus the remainder of the team. So pretty shocking to see that result there early on. That's big. Enamorus is going to come out. I think that, yeah, it's automatically faster. Go for Moonblast, lots of damage, gets a special attack drop, follows up with another Moonblast, and Brett pulls out the Mirror Coat. And if you've been listening to this podcast for any amount of time, Counter and Mirror Coat, I love seeing those get pulled off. And Alamalola able to take out the Enamorus with the Mirror Coat early on has put a lot of pressure. 7 turns in, has dropped 2 Pokemon. That's absolutely huge. He's got just a lot more kind of equity here. Alamalola's low, Typhlosion is around 50%, but nothing else has taken hits, really. Yeah, nothing else has taken hits at all. And he has a lot of his big pieces left. So very important here. But now we see Electivire come in. Electivire obviously is a big threat to Alamalola. I talked about how he's just be able to potentially Volt Switch kind of with impunity on this team, and that's what we see right here. Goes into Electrode, be able to soak up most of that. And does he have... No, doesn't show leftovers. So right now, Electrode gets... I'm going to say a little cutesy here. Going for Thunderbolt there. A little risky between the fact that Electivire could come in. Tinglu's not going to come in realistically. But Electivire could come in, get that speed boost, and be a bigger problem. So something he's got to be very careful of, because it could, firing off Thunderbolts could really cause some problems for him. He's not going to be able to 2-hit KO the Golden Go with Thunderbolt. So now he's going to go into Alamalola. 2 reasons. Another Make It Rain comes out. He's already at -1. Alamalola is going to be able to take that. And if he gets in clean like he does here, he'll be able to switch out again, get more Regenerator HP. Unfortunately gets fully paralyzed on the Thunderbolt, but he is going to flip turn out. Net positive in HP, but not quite by much. I believe it's like a 6% HP gain for those 2 turns that he did right there. But he's going to bring in Typhlosion and threaten out this Goldengo with a Shadow Ball. Tinglu's going to come in. Obviously the right Pokemon to go into here. It's going to take almost no damage. Eruption at this point, I think we calculated it's only around 70 base power. So not doing a lot of damage to the Tinglu, obviously, but does more than Shadow Ball would have done. So, that's good. Also learns that it's leftovers. Now spikes are going up. It's going to be hard for Brett to take care of these spikes because it's very easy if he has Rapid Spin on Hitmontop, it's very easy for Golden Go to come in because there's not a lot of moves that the Hitmontop could have that could hit the Golden Go super hard. So Latios is going to come in, I think, we'll find out later, but Latios is going to come in, do some damage to Tinglu, and take a heavy slam in response. Now, this exchange right here, I think is good for Brett because I don't think that there is a lot of, there's not a lot of value tied up in Latios right now. It doesn't have a lot it can do to the remainder of the team. Golden Go, it has a negative matchup against Electivire, hard to say for sure. Orthworm, this Aurasphere will do pretty good damage to Orthworm, but I think Tinglu is such a problem for Brett to try to get through right now. He's got to get some damage on Tinglu, and that's what he's doing right here. He's just firing off Auraspheres and taking out a quarter of his HP at a time, keeping him as low as he possibly can, and closes up with a flip turn because this is now kind of a sack in the back for him. Alamalola is going to be able to come in, take not a ton of damage from that. Ruination unfortunately is going to set him back quite a bit on trying to do that exchange of HP, switching, but he gets the burn. The burn on Tinglu is also huge because it's going to offset that leftovers recovery, and Latios, I think, could afford to come in and fire off another hit now. If he flip turns out, because I think, oh man, I still would have flip turned out there. I guess he didn't want to risk the paralysis, right? Does get up that final layer of spikes, which is going to be big, because every time Alamalola comes in, it's regenerating 33% HP, but it's taking 25 for coming in. So its net gain there is only, what, 7% health? It's not very good. So these spikes being up are pretty bad for Brett. Now Electivire is going to come in, and this is really important here that we find out that he's got not that he's got Supercell Slam, that's one thing, but also Latios was the perfect Pokemon to take this hit because it's a clear sign that this Electivire is Choice Scarf. I've talked a lot about speed creeping before. It depends on how fast this Electivire is, because I got the tab open here on the other side of the teams. I'm gonna take a look. Latios, like, this would have to be Jolly Scarf max speed to be able to catch a max speed Electrode. Okay, so personally, if I was doing it, that's probably what I would end up doing, because I'm a coward, right? I'm just like, just want to make sure I'm faster than this Electrode. But spoilers for later in the battle, we do find out this is not a max speed Electivire. So what probably happened, and this is just kind of a tutorial on how people speed creep things. This Latios likely only had enough speed to outspeed the Enamorus. So this is probably 143 speed Latios. Because that would be 1 point faster than as fast as Enamorus could be, right? So, what Zach could have done is made this Scarf Electivire adamant, max attack, and with enough speed to hit 143, which honestly wouldn't be that much, which would have made this Electivire a lot bulkier. I don't believe that's what he does based on some of the calcs that we see, but that's just something to consider, that if you're doing Scarfers and you don't need a speed creep much, I don't think most of the time, if you have a Scarfer in the 90 range, that you don't need to be max speed. You could probably run adamant, not a lot of HP, depending on your opponent's team. A little lesson there for you. Soon Electrode's going to come in, take a lot of damage from those spikes. He's not going to be able to come back in. And Brett, I think, this might be his determination. This might be, he's going to probably be able to take this Supercell Slam, right? But he takes a lot of damage from those spikes there. Oh, and the Electivire outspeeds the Electrode. What? Oh, never mind, I remember. So this Electrode is not very fast. He probably only would be fast enough to outspeed the Cyclizar, which is 121 speed, so that's 375. So this Electrode is presumably only at 326, right? So that means this Electivire at this point we know is at least 327, which means it's not the super bulky variant that we thought before. Could still be Jolly. So that is a concern at this point, because I think we find out this is Scarf Cleavor towards the end of the game. Hitmontop's going to come out. I don't think it goes for Rapid Spin here. I don't think it tries to. Yeah, it goes for Close Combat. I don't think... Brett said he didn't have anything that could hit the Golden Go, I don't think. Alamola is going to come in, take that Thunderbolt, basically out of this game at this point now. He's just going to use that to get a clean switch into the Hisuian Typhlosion, which he's going to be able to go for a Shadow Ball here. Or he could go for Flamethrower, because he's... or Fire Blast, because, geez... Absolutely cooks that Orthworm, but Brett's kind of in danger here. If this is Jolly Electivire, pretty sure it wins. Because he's, I think, going to be able, after the spikes damage, he'd be able to KO the Cleavor with Supercell Slam, and be able to do pretty good damage to the Hitmontop, especially after another round of spikes, so it's a problem. Electivire is going to come in, Supercell Slam this. Right now, watching this, I'm like, man, Brett's got to be praying for a Supercell Slam miss here. So Cleavor is going to come in. So this is Scarf Cleavor. The only way he's faster than Electivire is if this is adamant max speed electivire, this jolly max speed Cleavor can be faster. If he is that super bulky electivire I talked about, which I guess we know he's not, so we can rule that out. But if he's jolly max speed electivire, I think Supercell Slam is like maybe a roll here. So very dangerous. And Cleavor, I think when we were calcing it, so Cleavor is going for Night Slash on this turn, and he actually gets, Zach actually ends up switching out. Night Slash is able to 2-hit KO this Golden Go. That's absolutely huge. That means Electivire is going to have to come in, take another round of Rocks damage, because at this range, Night Slash was kind of a roll to KO. And now it's not. Now he happens to be faster because he's Jolly Max Speed, and Night Slash gets the KO. So I'm curious about still a conversation I've never gotten to have with Zach about like his outlooks on how to speed creep things. Obviously, he wasn't Jolly Max Speed on there. He didn't worry about trying to catch or outspeed the Hisuian Electrode. Actually, he did outspeed the Hisuian Electrode, but that's because Brett's was slower. Like I said, I'm too much of a coward. I would have been Jolly Max Speed, but also I wouldn't have had the power that Electivire's packing. But the Max Speed Scarf Cleavor ended up coming through for him, for Brett, and ends up, despite having a losing record in the regular season. I don't want to stress that too much because it's not like Brett had a bad season. I mean, this is his worst season ever, and he still ended up with a championship. So congratulations, Brett, for his 5th championship. What season did he join? Season 9 he joined. So through 13 seasons, he's got 5 championships. Well done. And good season for Zach. I'm gonna grab the North tab, drag it over here. We'll take a look at that's Zach's team, like I was talking about. Let's take a look at how many stats we have. Are we filled out all the way through? We are not. Oh wow, we're well short. Leading MVP at this point was 12 KOs for Overquill. I think Dakota was taking stats, and after he started losing, I think he might have gotten a little bit disheartened with taking some stats, which I understand. Let's take a look at the standings. Like we said, Kyle and Darren are going to be taking a trip down south. Next season, Darren enjoyed his 1 season stint here in the north before he's going to head back down. Jabron, for the 2nd season in a row, narrowly escaping relegation. Wait, do I have this? Oh no, I'm wrong. Oh man, Kyle has the win over Jabron, so Jabron's getting relegated. Kyle is still sticking around. This is not reflective of the actual standings. Like I said, yeah, Brett kind of got in under the wire there with 5 seed at 3 and 4. And climbed up, won a championship. So congratulations to Brett, like I said, on your 5th championship. And thank you all for another great season of the ABL. Like I said, we're taking some time off before next season. We need to do, if you have any thoughts, I don't think we're going to do that, like kind of that exit interview thing that I did last time on things that need to be changed. But if you have any strong feelings about Pokemon that need to change tiers, please message me on Discord. I need to have like records of it because otherwise I will forget. But I think that's going to wrap it up. Thank you all for listening. Like I said, different kind of podcast schedule next season, but hopefully you guys still enjoy everything we're doing here. That's going to wrap it up. Thank you again for listening. We'll see you next season. Goodbye.